Hi, this is Tina. I just wanted to talk to you today about carving stamps. Um, I use the Speedy Carve from Speedball, and I use the Speedball tools, the Speedball cutter set. Okay. Now, there are many carving materials out there. Those just happen to be the ones I use. You can even use erasers for all that matters. The reason why I got into carving stamps is because I had some actually Spellbinders dies where I wanted to they were just basically outline shapes, and I wanted to be able to fill them with something. I mean, an owl shape is good, but I need an owl in it, hopefully. So today what I want to do is I have a bunch of Crafter Companions dry embossing plates, I guess you would call them boards, embossing boards, and they have a flower on there. This is basically the flower. I can dry emboss it and color it and so on, but I want to make a stamp out of it. So what I did was I traced it on here, and I drew a little detail, and hopefully that'll be a little bit better when I carve it out. And I'm going to put it on my carving material, because I drew it in pencil. I'm going to put it on my carving material, and I'm going to rub on it with my bone folder, and that'll transfer the image for the most part. Let me try down here. Actually, let me put a little bit more pencil on this. Well, hold it. We don't really need it too much because we've got the outline shape right here. But anyways, you can, most times it'll transfer right over. Obviously did not have enough pencil on it, and I'm just going to outline this actual flower with my magic marker, and that was my next step that I was going to tell you about, is I usually go over it once I've transferred it with magic marker because it'll tend to rub off otherwise. And wherever I have a line is where I am not, or I'm going to try to not cut out, try to not carve out. Yeah, I know that line's not exactly smooth, but we will work with it. I'm going to try and get this one over here, and then just put a little heart down the bottom. And you'll see I squiggled all over the heart. That to me means do not cut this out on the inside. So let me see if I can get that a little better for you. And actually I can probably zoom up one more. There you go. Alright, so what I'm going to do is limit the amount of material I have. I can take this and cut it with scissors. Which leads me to the point of, if you're going to cut out an area, I did a mushroom the other day and I cut out around the stem, which I really shouldn't have. I mean, I totally cut it out. This is not rubber. This is material. This material can break, can snap in half. So you got to be very careful with that. What I'm doing right now is cutting around the outside with my detail, and I tend to, if I'm in a corner like this, just tend to go out. And a lot of people do it different ways, and I've just carved on the wrong side. There's a line right down the middle there. Bugger. I'm going to flip this over. And it's probably the way I was storing it. I'm going to try this all over again. And maybe I'll learn how to edit and cut this out. If not, then you're just going to see how not to do something. Okay? Alright, I'm going to try and transfer this again. I had that problem with a stamp I did before, and I had stored it not on a flat surface. Here we go. That looks a lot better, actually. That transferred a lot better. Okay. I had apparently stored it on a bad place, in a bad place, with something underneath it, and it will indent. Again, this is not rubber. Of course, rubber does, rubber stamps, if you're not stored on a flat surface, can take the impression from what's underneath them. Alright, let's try this all over again, and hopefully this won't make too long of a video, but it's good to point out the mistakes and show that, guess what, I'm not perfect. There we go. Actually, that does look like an owl, somewhat, now that I'm looking at it. All right, let's try this again. I'm going to carve around the outside of the lines and try to get as close as possible without gouging them. And gouging them means you're just cutting across the line that you want to save. And usually from this corners, inside corners, let me see if I can get that up there a little better. Inside corners, I'm cutting from the inside out, so hopefully I won't gouge the line. And I did a little right there, but that's not going to matter because I don't have the inside line done yet. All right. So I'm just going to go around like this. Sounds like something's going to fall in a minute here over in my craft room. And I even got all the cats out of here, so there wouldn't be less disturbances. Okay, see what I just did right there? That is something you don't want to do. You don't want to dig down too deep. You're just going along the surface of this. If you dig down too deep, you have a tendency to pull up too much material and you tend to gouge, which is not a good thing. Alright. Yes, I've gone up into that corner, and now I'm going to turn around and go back down, see if I can keep along this line. Yes, you need to move the material. This is just like cutting with scissors. You move the material, you don't move the cutting blade. Let me see if I can get that centered again. Sorry about that. I'm tending to pull it towards me, and why I don't sit a little closer, that would make more sense, right? Alright, so I'm going to go around on the outside here, and there we've got that whole little dooflicky, curly, whatever, done, like my English as a college graduate. Alright, so we're going to continue carving, I'm going down too far again. We're going to continue carving along here. I do sharpen my blades. It helps to tends to help it not skip over the surface as much. And how do I sharpen my blades? I use a sharpening stone. I just run along the edge right here. Okay, right there along the edge, just push it along. Whether or not that is actually sharpening it, I don't know for sure, but that's how I figured to do it, and it seems to keep it to a minimum. Keep the skipping across the top of the surface to a minimum. Okay. Alright. Now I know this is not there. That's a little bit better. I was going to say I know this is not curved very well. Going along here. Just trying to get the outlines done right now and trying to keep this in frame. Wouldn't that be nice? Again, with the pulling it closer to me. Now I'm way out in the middle of nowhere. I want to be right by that line. And I don't know if I've mentioned it in this video or not, because like I said, this is the second take. I do try to keep the blade away from my fingers because this is sharp and I have cut myself. Yes, and do as I say, do not do as I do, because I'm holding it up there, keeping on reaching up so I don't let that fall asleep and have the video cut out on me, so it will actually record. And I'm going to go down here and around. I might have to make this into an owl face. I'm sorry, but that's what it's right now. That's what it's looking like to me. And I just did that again, didn't I? I pulled it way down so you couldn't see it. All right. So I'm just going to go around the outside of the heart. Like I said, I did not want to carve the inside of the heart. And I think I'm going to leave my mistake in about the line on the other side. It's just a small indentation, but boy, I tell you, it really shows when you try and stamp, because like I said, I didn't discover it until I did another stamp, and it just really, I have to work around that now. Okay, gently go up in between those two lines and go on up here. we're just about done. Once we get around the details, I'm going to try and slide in between there and up. Like I said, once we get around the details, I pulled it out of your view again, didn't I? It is usually fairly quick going. I did a little plainer one in my first try, but I had the tripod up too high, the camera up too high, and yeah, you could see what I was doing, but it really wasn't that close up and personal, and hopefully this is a little better. Alright, so I've got the details done. I'm going to take another blade. This is a lot bigger, and I'm going to try and not scoop out too much. So this just takes out big hunk of chunks, and what I think is going to be too detailed, too close to my details, I'm going to leave there and use with the smaller one. Hopefully it made sense, and thankfully I did not just gouge. Alright, there. And we're going to continue going. Hopefully you all had a good 4th of July. It's been beautiful here in Tennessee. It was hardly any humidity, and it was in the 80s. Whereas a couple weeks ago, it was 99 on the porch in the middle of the afternoon. And it's a little warm. And where the thermometer is, that's in the shade. I missed the detail on the outside here. So I'm going to finish this detail over here. Just go along the edge with my thin blade till I meet up around here. Alright, and that is way out on some of this, so again I'm going to go along, get close to that line. And I'm removing the material from my blade as I go along because it sometimes blocks the view, and especially if you're doing detail work, you do not want your view blocked. I'm just chunking this stuff away. Actually, what I'm going to do is take my scissors and just go like that. Yep, I cheated. Okay. I'm going to get all the way around the outside here. Yes, I know I've got some on the inside I still have to do. We'll get there. The first one I did was a very basic flower, which is okay. I got thinking, ooh, I'd like this, and I'd like that, and I'd like the other thing in there. So you're getting a longer version this time. And let's see, I think we got just about everything on the outside. Well, let's finish up on the inside with these details. And there's just a few little places, like right along in here. I'm going to be very careful not to gouge out any of these lines. There's a little bit in here. And a little bit in here. We'll get this all out. And that little corner, I didn't want to go into that with the big guy, with the big blade. And I'm going to scoot over here again, open up that channel around that heart. I can hear my husband now. He's going to say, that looks like an owl. Hopefully your husbands are as good as mine, where they really support you in your crafting. I've got a gem. I will tell you that right now. Alright, there's our stamp. And I use, and I don't know if I've already said this or not, I use Easy Mount. Whoops, sorry, there you go. Easy Mount to mount these up. Now I need to do it on this side, which is where the sticky stuff is, and I'm going to just take my pencil and draw along the outside here. Okay, I found this is the easiest way. I do have non-stick scissors, but this helps keep the gunk down. I'm just going to cut along this. And what is this easy mount for? It's to basically make this into an unmounted stamp so it's easier to use. Okay, I'm going to peel that off. This is very sticky. I still have a little excess. I'm going to trim down my scissors. Okay, and now I'm going to take this. I'm going to write back on it so I know easily which way to put this on again. Sometimes they're really symmetrical and you can't figure it out. At least I can't. Alright, now come on. There we go. And I'm going to stick it on this stamp block. And I've been playing this morning. This is what I've done with some of my leftovers. Okay. And I'm going to take this, ink it up. This is the original one I did this morning for the first video, and I just didn't think you guys could see nearly enough. Now, look at this. This is perfect. I can show you it now, and you'll be able to see it. Look, there's a piece right there. There's some other pieces that inked up. I'm going to take this, and even before I stamp it, to test it, and I'm going to carve that out. Okay? Yes, I tend to use okay, I see. Very carefully. And yes, you do get a little inky with this. But let me get all these places that are really showing up here. And here's another one right up here. So now I just clean this all up even before I even bother to try and stamp. And there's another little line there. I'm going to very carefully scoot that along there. And dump off the excess, make sure there's no other places, which there are. There's one right here, one right here. See, okay, there's another one right there. Alright, let's ink it up and try it. Like I said, I'm not an artist, but I've got myself a new stamp. I hope you guys have a crafty day, and if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you.